hyped over scheduled release day, so we are sitting down with Dom, the creator of the 49ers 2026 regular season release video. He's going to tell us all about the creation into it, get us behind the scenes, get into the nitty gritty. Check out our conversation right here. All right, Dom is joining us now. Dom, thank you so much for joining us on The Saloon. Tell us about yourself, who you are as a 3D art creator, especially in the video effects scene.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. This project was, an absolute blast to be able to put together. So much, care and effort went into, all the little details, and I really think it shined through the end product. But my name's Dom Guerrera. I've been a visual effects 3D artist, creative for about 11 years now. And I'm 21 years old, so I've been doing this since I was 10 years old. I started back in the day doing little sports edits on Vine, and it just kind of kept going and going and going, and here we are today. I've been doing 3D work for about 5 years now, and it's a super technical field. It's a super it's a field where you could really dive into the artistry and the details behind everything, and you get to create your own worlds. And when the 49ers team reached out to me about this project, I was, beyond excited. This is something that, I like building these environments, building these worlds, and then, putting it all together with, real assets, assets that you find online, or like just super cool knickknacks. Like it's truly special. So to kind of be able to bring this project together, it was truly something special.
How cool. I mean, you talk about really diving into history here for the 49ers and for an NFL team. What's something that you learned doing this process that maybe you didn't know before about the 49ers, something cool that you picked up?
Oh, I mean, I've always known the 49ers have had an incredible history. And I know like a lot of NFL teams, like they have history, blah, blah, blah. But like the 49ers, it's legit. Everything from Kezar Stadium, the Candlestick to the golden era of the 80s. Like it was really cool for me, especially like some of the really old stuff, 40s to 50s, like the bobblehead, the signs, the chairs, the seat cushions, and then all the old photography. Like it's just so cool to be able to go back and pay homage to such a rich history.
Definitely.
Take us into the story of how you were approached with this project. Who is it that reached out to you? What did they pitch to you? And how did they start this world that you were going to create over the next, I would imagine, few weeks, months? How long did it take?
It took about 4 weeks, I'd say, of like hard work. And they approached me probably 5 weeks ago. And I've had a outstanding and long relationship with Nick, better known as Shabizi around the office. I've known him for a while now. I've done plenty of projects in the past for the 49ers. The Penta black uniform reveal video.
Wow, that was sick.
I put together. That was a fun one. And then I did a couple hype videos for the Spanish channels. And so I've had a pretty, strong relationship with the 49ers creative staff. And basically the team over there, Danny, Juan, just kind of approached me and said, we have this, grand idea. We want you to hop on a call and we can kind of talk through it. And I hopped on the call and they gave me a pretty broad idea. And during that call, we kind of narrowed it down to, we're going to go through rooms of the decades and really pay homage to the history of the 49ers and be able to reveal, the schedule in a special way. But it was cool to kind of workshop that intro idea and talk about, how we want to approach this and how we want to kind of do it. But yeah, I mean, they came to me about 5 weeks ago, and when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a grind. It's gonna be a lot, and it truly was. I'll start to kind of break down the details, soon enough here. But it was a lot, and so much passion and so much, true, genuine art was put into this that just overall.
What a beautiful way to celebrate the 49ers 80th anniversary.
Really, it's so special. It, not only pays homage to San Francisco, as it is one of the painted ladies that we go into, Victorian-style house, and it takes you through every single room of each decade, and you built it out yourself, kind of, it's a 3D artist, but you also have a little of the interior design in you, and also you have to have a little bit of the architect in you as well. So you're going to take us through some of that process and really what it was like to build it from the studs up.
Yeah, so when I first opened my 3D project, it's literally just a cube. That's all it is. It's just a blank cube. There's nothing else. So everything you saw it started from literally just nothing but a blank cube. And it's all about, there's three different ways I got the assets. There's, the majority of the 49ers history was, genuinely handmade by me. Like I went into, I used more softwares and programs, and it might just be easier to list the ones I didn't use. But I either hand built it myself, I scanned it in if it was like a photo or if it was, some sort of sign, or it's a technique called kit bashing, where you take like an asset library that you could either get online or buy online, and really just kind of build stuff together and build out, a living room, build out a kitchen, build out a house, or, build out a skyline or the lighting behind it. There's so much that goes into it. But those are sort of the main, avenues of how I was able to kind of get the stuff together. But to, I guess, just kind of kick this off, like I have some screen recordings of me kind of putting some stuff together. So
yeah, take us through it. We're looking at your screen right now. So just take us through. You said you started with the block, but here it is kind of going through the rooms. Walk us through what we're looking at.
So right now I'm just, kind of getting the general block out of the room. I'm messing with some textures. I'm messing with some, kit bashed assets, and I'm placing everything and trying to, get the scaling and the sizing right. Nothing 49ers related really happened until the latter half of the project.
Yep.
It was really just about, this is the 60s room. I'm kind of getting the lighting right, kind of getting the feel of the room right. And just kind of trying to get some rough camera movement down just so I know what I'm going to look at. I'm trying out some different textures on the wallpapers. It's moving really fast, but
yeah, I was going to say it's sped up right now.
I was about to say, this is you in real time. That's amazing.
No, I wish it was real time, but no, so this is, sped up super fast because there's just, I'm literally spending, probably an hour just getting the block out of the room right, and then there was 10 different rooms, and then the exterior behind it. So
literally physically placing the walls.
Yeah. So this was the original painted lady model that I made in Blender. Once the model was done, it was super easy to kind of just duplicate it and get it a bunch of different colors in, and then so that's how I was able to kind of build out that neighborhood. But I used real images of the houses themselves to be able to get the trimming exactly right and get, everything as close to real as possible. And it all basically, like I said, started with a cube, but it's just about using a bunch of different modeling techniques to be able to like extrude here or curve it here, and then use texturing tools and techniques to be able to get it to look as realistic as possible. And, something like this would have took me 2 to 3 hours just by itself, just making the exterior of the house, and there's nothing inside of it. So that just kind of goes to show like truly how much goes into this. But flying through some of this stuff, this is what the rest of the scene actually looks like. So this is where my cursor is here. This is that 60s room. Next to it would be the 70s, and then down below is the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. But as funny as this looks, this is the house. This is what you're looking at here.
It's amazing to see how you brought San Francisco to life. Tell us about how you brought the spirit of the 49ers into this house. You mentioned before we started recording that you even walked across the street to a nearby ice cream shop that gave you 50s vibes. Like, how did you literally take these assets and put them into this home to make it feel real?
Each room, I, made sure I took my time and actually, sourced images, videos, old movies, stuff from, my childhood, stuff from real life. And the goal was to just get everything to kind of feel and vibe right. I wanted it to be, we didn't really have that much time to spend in each room. So it needed to be right away. Like, oh, this is a 1950s kitchen. Oh, this is a 1940s living room. It needed to be right away, right in your face. And in order to do that, you need everything to look right. So for example, looking at this image right here, obviously everything 49ers related is true and genuine, but then, the little Easter eggs, the little stuff on the wall, this car model right here, there's a local 50s themed ice cream shop near me. And I literally just walked to it and took a picture of this car that was on the wall and just put it in a 3D scene just to fill space. It's the jukebox is, era specific. I got the bobblehead that's up there. That's 1950s genuine 49ers bobblehead. All these game posters, all these signs, like this isn't something that's, super easily accessible. But, I had to kind of take it from the 49ers museum. I had to scan it into the 3D software and then get it up on the wall. So it's just a good way to kind of bridge that gap, because you can't really Google 1950s game poster and like these images aren't going to show up because they're, probably hand drawn from an artist. And it literally only exists in the 49ers museum. A really cool piece in this room is we had Noah, the designer, kind of recreate this. We were off by 2 days, but it was almost exactly 100 years later, because this is September 22nd, 1946. And this is September 20th.
Talk us through that. So once you got the schedule, so obviously there was so much building happening behind this, and then going in and, okay, there you're probably hoping, okay, hopefully it's going to fall on the same day, and then it doesn't fall on the same day. But walk us through what it was like going up to the deadline, that wire, and working up until then, and what came out of that.
When you actually got the schedule in hand.
So I don't know if the masses kind of know this, but you don't get, even the internal teams don't get the schedule until we got it 22 hours out, which that sounds like a while, but with how much goes into this and how much time and how much effort and how much like modeling, like that is not a lot of time. I sat down at my computer and I set a 21-hour clock down or countdown on my left monitor. Let it sit, and I'm sitting there in my computer and I'm just, updating all the dates, updating all the signs, updating all the graphics, and trying to get it, get everything in there in 21 hours. And, you'd think that sounds like an eternity, but really with this stuff, it's really not. So it was really around the clock. So the goal was to kind of build the environment out as close as possible to finish. And then I'd just be able to kind of fill in the dates. Yeah. But it doesn't always work out like that, because there's certain things like you want to do like an opponent specific thing, but you don't necessarily know who you're playing which week. So, it would have been fun to do some certain opponent specific things. But like I said, like you really don't have that much time to quickly turn it around. So it was more just about putting placeholders there and then filling it in once you got that information. But that was an absolute grind. That out in the 21 hours. I literally sat down on my computer and did not get up for 21 hours straight. Like I said, I just wanted to put as much detail and time into it as possible. And I think it truly was special.
Yeah. Truly a labor of love. And I think that's what I loved most about the 49ers 2026 schedule release video, is that there were so many Easter eggs or golden nuggets placed throughout the entire video that watching the video wasn't a one and done for fans. They could go back and revisit this honestly for years, but on all the days leading up to schedule release. And as we look back at it, there's so much you could dig up and find. Dom, I want to know, what was your favorite Easter egg that you hid in this house?
Oh, well, so I have a personal one, and then I was a big fan. Probably my favorite one is the 70s room, but a personal one I have is in the 50s room. There is a very famous, it's got like over 10 million views, but to getting into the 3D artistry, you what you do is you start off by following the donut tutorial, is what it's called. It is the entry level basic tutorial for Blender out there. Like I said, it's got over 10 million views. Like if you want to get into doing this, you start by making a donut. I followed that tutorial, and here they are right here. The first original model that I ever personally did is right here on the kitchen table. So finally got some use out of that. So that's just something cool for me. But I love the Grateful Dead room. And then shout out George Kittle, actually, who personally reached out to me and said, he said, great job on the schedule release video, but he was a huge fan of the Grateful Dead room as well. So being able to pay homage to them and such an important part of San Francisco history that, it was really cool.
What an incredible way to kick off our 80th anniversary, heading into the season. I'm sure people will keep watching the videos to find more Easter eggs, but truly a labor of love and true talent from your side on the 3D creative.
Dom, thank you so much for joining us and diving into behind the scenes of the 49ers 2026 schedule release video. Major props to you. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to the entire 49ers media team and marketing team for trusting me with the project, and it was an absolute blast. So thank you again.
All right, Faithful, that will do it for this one. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to The Saloon on YouTube, SiriusXM, and all your favorite podcast platforms. We'll see you next time, and go Niners.